Hi folks, welcome to your mwis Friday Planner in association with Ellis Brigham. After the glorious weather that the Highlands saw last weekend, this weekend is just about the opposite. A very poor picture with strong gale force winds over the mountains and heavy rain focused across the West and Northwest Highlands. That rain across this part of the world is likely to be a common theme in the week ahead and a generally unsettled looking outlook. So there's a pleasant looking chart for a Saturday in June. A deep area of low pressure is centred just to the northwest of Scotland. In its origins, this was a tropical storm which was off Florida a week or so ago. It's now a mature North Atlantic depression, but it's just going to circulate around and throw quite a lot of rain and also very strong winds across much of the British Isles. Gale force winds over the Scottish Highlands gusting in excess of 60 or even 70 miles per hour on some of the higher summits, especially in the northwest at times. A significant wind chill factor will feel well below freezing, even as cold as -10 where directly exposed on the highest summits. Temperatures, for example, on the Ben Nevis Plateau, only around 3 degrees Celsius. Add on a lot of rainfall as well across the Western Highlands, and it's a pretty poor picture. That heavy rain seeing ground conditions becoming pretty wet and streams rising considerably. Further south and east, less in the way of rain. Low cloud though, spilling into the hills of West Wales and the Lake District, and some patchy rain or drizzle and the odd shower at times. Windy here, not quite as bad as over the Highlands. Now by Sunday, we do see that low move away a bit further toward the north. The dregs of fronts have been carried away eastwards. We're left though with a brisk westerly wind, and that carrying some showers along with it, and those still quite frequent across the western mountains in Scotland. The scattering of showers passing eastwards through the day, mostly brief toward the eastern side of the Highlands, and only really the odd shower, I suspect, for England and Wales. You may get away with a largely dry day. Cloud base is tending to be a little bit higher as the atmosphere isn't quite as humid, but for western hills in Scotland it will still shroud the hills most of the day. A little bit of sunshine may be coming through in some eastern regions. Temperatures though are still cool, if anything a degree or so lower than Saturday, and the wind chill factor, although the wind not strong, is still going to be significant. Into the new week, and high pressure is just trying to build up from the Azores, just centring itself to the southwest of us. So for much of England, Wales, the south and east of Scotland, it looks a reasonable day with some sunshine. Some low cloud though could get drawn in to some western coastal areas once more, and the western areas in Scotland and the Highlands much more likely to see low cloud and drizzly rain too, as a warm front just pushes in across the northwest. So areas from sort of Mull northwards could be rather damp much of the day. Small amounts of light rain perhaps just spilling a bit further into the northern Highlands. Winds still strong across northern Scotland, lighter winds though further southwards across England and Wales. Now there is a degree of uncertainty just how the weather patterns play out over the North Atlantic towards the middle of the week, but it looks generally as though southwesterly winds will prevail, so some further rain, drizzle and low cloud being drawn in to western mountains in Scotland. The intensity of the rain is uncertain. It will depend just how close any fronts over the Atlantic do get to us. Further south and east, with high pressure nearby, it's a dry story with some sunshine around across England and Wales and much of eastern Scotland as well, and light winds in this part of the world. Temperatures will just be coming up a few degrees as well. By Wednesday, that high is centred just to the east of us, and for much of England and Wales it may well be another dry day with some sunshine, so some reasonable weather for a few days here. For Scotland, many places again may get away dry, but the risk of some rain, particularly in more western regions, still close to that front that's out over the Atlantic. And we're just watching by this stage how an area of low pressure around Spain and the Bay of Biscay behaves, and whether that just starts to develop. It's a potential zone of instability that's forming in the middle of the week. We're just starting to drag in some more warm and humid air from the continent as we go forwards. All of that eventually could start to break the weather pattern down again later in the week. Basically, there's some complex interactions that are likely to take place somewhere just in our southwest approaches through into the second half of the week. Low pressure systems over the Atlantic, a low pressure area off Spain and Portugal as well, and those having a go at interacting with each other, and this is always a recipe for uncertainty in the longer range forecast. But the likelihood is that some further weather systems get drawn into Western Scotland at least. There is the potential that that could all gather up some of that warmth and humidity and instability from the Bay of Biscay, and as we roll towards the weekend, it may all just merge together and create a general zone of low pressure. Very uncertain how this plays out, but many model indications end up with low pressure and some wet and possibly windy weather over the top of us by next weekend. A long way off to play for that detail, but the outlook is looking rather unsettled. High pressure around the Azores is not really showing too much sign of building in our direction. If anything, that probably builds northwards towards Iceland in the later part of June, allowing a zone of low pressure to potentially get rather stuck across the British Isles and northern Europe. So pretty wet conditions could well emerge from that sort of period. It could be that the heaviest rain starts to drag a bit further southwards. It might be that Western Scotland comparatively becomes drier with time as we stop that persistent flow of westerly winds. Instead, just weather patterns circulating around slowly for a spell later in the month. Plenty to keep an eye on then. You can check your local 3-day forecasts on our website. That is your Friday planner in association with Ellis Brigham. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.